So I have been using the Darling Details a little bit, and I have to say I am really excited about these fun products in the class. We're using the Darling Details stamp set and the dies. And I'll get those out when we start making the project. I got to run and grab my dies. We're also using the Bright and Beautiful 6x6 Designer Series paper. Half of that, you get the package of the opaque ovals, excuse me. They're ovals, not opals. I'm going to be using some blending brushes, so you can add those onto the kit if you want, along with that bundle. And then I'm going to use the gorgeous sheer ribbon combo pack. And I didn't realize this, you guys. Looking at it in the catalog, I did not realize that this ribbon has little silver, it's got silver accents running through the edges of the ribbon. So each ribbon has the silver accents. So that's the Bubble Bath. And then here's the Lemon Lolly. It also has the silver running through, and then on the Azure Afternoon it also does. It's so pretty. Look at that. It's so pretty. So I'm loving this ribbon. So we've got that going on too. And then finally we're using the 4 square masks also. So here are the 4 square masks. They are fun. Now mine have pixie spray on them because, as you guys know, I am a pixie spray freak when it comes to masks. This is pixie spray. You can get it on Amazon. I probably have a link to it in the description of this video. It makes your masks stay, you spray it on there, and it's like a tacky adhesive, and so it stays tacky on the back of your mask so that it'll stick to your paper. So when you're using masks, they're not sliding all over the place, and I just never take it off. The directions say you can get this off the adhesive if you want, but why would you want to? So I just leave it on all the time. I never take it off. I just find it super helpful. So anyway, that's something you can also get if you need it. Let's go ahead and do our Darling Details card. What drew me to these dies are these main big dies. Okay. First off, we have this large die. They're both frames. They make frames. So here's the large one. So cute. It's got this cute little stitching around the edges, and then these little flowers also on the inside. And I have found that the die does a really good job of pushing all of these little dots out. So I had very few that I had to poke out myself. So there you go. Then we have the smaller one that actually has these kind of beveled edges. I think that's what that is. Is that beveled when the corners are cut off? I don't remember. And then finally, we have this fun little edgelet die that I am using on another card tonight. So this is kind of what drew me initially to this set, this bundle, were those 3 dies. But there are a lot of other dies in this set. So we get these 4 cute little leaves. These do not cut out stamped images. But then we also have a couple other pieces that don't cut out stamped images. There is this little guy here, so cute, and this little thing. But then we do have ones that cut out stamped images. So this is a leaf set, a 3-piece, 3 leaves. We have a large flower, a partial flower, a little bud, another leaf, a stem, a tiny flower. This is a little like stem and 2 leaves that this little flower can go on. And finally, like a leaf, what would you even call that? Just like a sprig of some sort. So the dies are amazing. And then here are the stamps. The stamps are very whimsical and floral, obviously, but they're just so cute. And then there's a lot of nice sentiments in here. So it's really a nice set that's got everything you would need in it. So we're going to go ahead and use this today to make our cards. Let me go ahead and put these back on here like that. I have a thick white card base, 4 1/4 by 11, and we're going to score this at 2 1/4. And I am going to score it first off at, I believe, 2 1/4 inches. So I'm going to slide this into my trimmer, get it at 2 1/4, get my cutting blade out of the way, and give it a nice score. And that's the only place I'm going to score it. Whoops. Hello. Just about dropped my trimmer on the floor. So I'm going to fold on that score line, lining it up on the sides. And let me get my bone folder here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up and I'm going to have the ends meet. And that's why I don't need another score line. I'm going to have my ends meet so that they're really nice. And then I'm just going to fold that down flat. So that's what I have. And then I have a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card doing that, like that. Then out of the Bright and Beautiful paper, I chose this pattern of the kind of bubbles, I guess. And I cut this to, what is this? Must be 2 by 4. Yeah, so that's 2 by 4. And then I have a piece of bubble bath that I cut to 3 by 4. And they're going to both go on the top and bottom flaps of our card. But I do want to add a little bit of detail to this piece of bubble bath first, and so I want to use one of the masks. So I'm going to actually bring in this little guy here that is, I don't know, to me it kind of looks like a computer program. Does anybody remember that, like, oh, what the heck was it? It wasn't DOS, it was something else where you had to like punch out all the little things and that would be like the program, like on a card. That's what this reminds me of. I don't think that's what it is, but that's what it reminds me of. So I've got a piece of scrap paper that I am going to take, and I'm going to put my scrap paper, I'm going to line it up with the edge of, it doesn't matter what row of squares, just line it up so that it's nice and that it's even. So I kind of lined it up right below this line of squares here. And then I'm just going to throw this onto my scratch paper. And since it's covered in pixie spray, it's stuck on there really nicely now. Okay, so I do have a small blending brush here. For this particular die, it doesn't really matter too much, or not die, this mask. It doesn't really matter too much what size blending brush you use, whether it's a small or a large. Either one will work. Sometimes if you have specific masks and they have little tiny things, like if you're building a flower or something, you might have just a tiny area that you would definitely want to use the small brush in. But I just happened to have a small brush that was clean, and so I decided to go ahead and use it for this particular color. So I'm going to add a little bit of ink here onto my brush. I don't want a ton. I don't want this to be super dark. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of rub it onto my block here so I can get some of the ink off. And then I'm going to come in, I'm going to kind of lightly go over everything here, adding a little bit of ink. And I just want to make sure I get all of the spots. And then what's really nice about the pixie spray is you can kind of lift that up and look and see, oh, hey, I do think that's good, or no, I don't. I want to add a little bit more, and it kind of keeps it in place. It's really amazing. I think that that's good. I think that's what I want. Yes. Okay, so let me pick up that. And again, it's still a little bit tacky. And what I find is when it runs out of tack, I just spray it again. Because the only thing I'm going to do with this mask is put it on top of paper. And so I don't care how much stuff gets on here. Now, if you really do want to clean it off, you can. You can run it under water and use some soap and like a toothbrush or something like that, and you can get this adhesive off. But in my experience using this stuff, I've never needed to do that. So it's kind of up to you. If you want to take it off, you certainly can. Okay. So we have those two pieces. We can go ahead and add them to the card. I'm going to add the Designer Series paper to the top. So there is, this is kind of a fun fold card just because of the way everything is folded. I think that kind of constitutes fun fold. So we have those two pieces. Then I have a piece of fresh freesia. And I need to measure this again because I forgot what I cut it to. And that was this morning. This is a 3 by 4 1/8. I know it's a weird measurement, but it needs to be that for this die cut to fit. So this was, what did I say, 3 by 4 1/8. And then I cut my paper to 2 3/4 by 3 7/8. So that way, when I put the die on the paper, it was like right in the middle. It was right in the center. And so then I ran that through, and that's what you get. You get this cute little frame. And I am going to go ahead and just glue it flat down. I'm not going to try to pop it up. I don't, for this card, that's not what I'm going to do with it. So I'm going to get some liquid glue, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it down. So I'm going to just add my glue right here along the edge. And then we can add it. And hopefully the way I cut my paper is the perfect size. We shall see. I think it is. I think it turned out pretty good. I feel like I'm going to need to scooch. Oops, I scooched it too much. Okay, I think. Yes, these dies are very cute, Joanne. I know, right? Okay. So we have that. Then we needed to get some flowers and some leaves. So this is a tip. If you guys have a Stamparatus, this is a tip for you. If you don't, then you can just, you know, stamp and die cut the flowers that you need. But if you have a Stamparatus, this is what I did this morning. I put I put all the stamps on my Stamparatus. So actually what is, I got a 6x6 piece of cardstock. This is white. And I kind of laid all the stamps on my paper, and then I inked them up and of course folded that over and stamped them. So then now all I have to do is die cut blank flowers and leaves such as these, and I can just stick them in here. So I can just do that, and then if I needed this little leaf piece here or something like that, that way I can then just stamp what I need. So if I wanted my flower to be bubble bath, I can do this, stamp it bubble bath. And then my little leaf piece over here, I want it to be soft sea foam. So I can kind of block off some of these other things on here if I want, get the soft sea foam, and then I can flip over my lid. Now this is only, of course, if you have a Stamparatus, but if you have any other sort of positioning tool, this will work. And then you get these perfect little stamped images from doing that. And I need to get that one out. So I actually went ahead and I have a second set of magnets. And so I have my second set of magnets on here holding this paper down. So that's what I did. Okay. So I ended up, so then what I have here is I have this little bubble bath flower that needs the middle filled in. So the detailed stamps are on my Stamparatus. And then we also have the stamps, the filler stamps. And so you don't need those on the Stamparatus, but we need to use them to fill in this flower. So again, I'm going to use the bubble bath ink. So I'm going to ink up my stamp here. I'm going to stamp it off just real quick, and then I can see through my stamp, and I can see the detailed outline that I've already gotten, and then I can just fill it in just like that. That, I don't think, I didn't get as much off as I should have, so that didn't work out so great, but of course I have some already done that are better. So here's my little tray of pieces that I already have cut out, and here's a fresh freesia. Here's one that I did in lemon lolly. Here is a leaf. Of course, we have the little sprig, which is so stinking cute. The little partial flowers, the little stems. I was really impressed with my die cutting skills, you guys, after I stamped that whole sheet and then I die cut them all. I'm very, very careful about die cutting sheets like that when I'm going to use my Stamparatus, and I really line them up carefully, and then I tape them down with, where is my tape? My Post-it labeling tape to keep them in place when I run them through to die cut them. So here are the pieces that I actually ended up that I'm going to use on the card right here. So I have a large bubble bath flower. I have two little partial freesia flowers. I had a leaf piece here, the trio, and then I just cut it apart. I got the little sprig. I have this tiny little leaf with the stem, and then this little tiny flower too. So we've got a large bubble bath flower, 2 small freesia flowers, a freesia bud, a small freesia flower. This fun piece I die cut out of vellum. So in your kit, you would get some vellum. And then I did do the taller little sprig thing out of vellum also. And then I just cut it. So it was like this. And I just snipped it apart. So now all we have to do is just throw our design on here and just kind of decorate that. So I'm going to, of course, use some dimensionals. Not everything will have a dimensional on it, but we're going to go a couple on the large flower here. And I'm going to kind of set that kind of in the middle, but down tiny bit. Then I've got the 2 freesias, and I'm going to do them without dimensionals, and I'm just going to kind of shove them under so that it sort of looks like they were actually full-size flowers, but they're not. It's a little trick. And I'm going to tuck that one under there. And then I've got this little leaf thing, this little duo of leaves here that I'm going to throw on just underneath that. My little sprig here. And I'm going to kind of push that up here, coming out the top. I've got this little tiny flower out of freesia. I had to pick it up. I don't have any fingernails. So I've got a mini dimensional that I'll stick that on with. So don't forget, this is a card that you are going to get to make if you do get this kit from me. And then finally, we've just got this little tiny leaf and stem piece here. And I'm going to kind of tuck that down underneath my frame there. And then I'm just going to add this little guy with another mini dimensional. And that will almost be it. We do have our pieces of vellum that we're going to add. So we've got the big one here that I think I'm going to tuck in behind some of these things. So I may end up trimming that off just a little bit because I can't get it to tuck the way that I have it here. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of liquid glue to the bottom of it, because I don't care if it kind of floats, if it kind of free floats in the air there. There we go. So that's just a little bit of vellum, just for a little bit of interest. And then one of these little half pieces here, I am going to tuck underneath this flower here. Whoops, you need to get under there. Like that. And then this little piece, maybe I'll just tuck that up under there. So it's just kind of, I don't even know. There's no real rhyme or reason. You just kind of throw the stuff wherever you can get it to go. Maybe we'll just stick it in there. Isn't that adorable? So we have a little bit of vellum just for some interest. And then we're going to add this to the front of the card. So we're going to add it to the top section. So what I like to do when I'm adding things to flipper flappers, I like to call these ends, is I'm going to put some glue at the top of this piece. And then I'm going to put some at the bottom of this piece here. And then when I add this piece to the front, then it should work perfectly. So I'm trying to center it so that it's centered, top to bottom, side to side. Okay. I tied a little bow with the pink ribbon, and I do want to add this to the card somewhere. I'm not exactly sure where though, because I don't want to cover up everything, but I do want to I think I'm just going to go ahead and do it like right there, even though I'm going to cover up some stuff. I think that's okay. I can actually make this a tiny bit smaller if I want. I can just pull my ends in just a little bit, and then I can pull this tight. And then after I add it, I'm going to trim off the ends so that it's not quite so long. So I'm going to press that knot into a glue dot. And I'm going to go ahead, like I said, just stick it right there. And get my scissors that I only use for ribbon out. And trim off the ends here. I just like how this has a little bit of bling that silver shiny stuff through. I'm going to bring in my little ovals, and we're going to try to do something with ovals. Ovals are a little odd, but I do think they're cute. And so we'll go ahead and kind of put a couple up here. Oops, pick that up. You need to get onto my take your pick tool. You little stinker. Get off there. Okay. And then I'm going to kind of set this right here so that when the card is closed, we have a little accent piece there. So now we're going to head to the inside, and we're just going to add a little bit of interest in here. So I've got a ton of sentiments in here, but I kind of like the happy birthday. Pulled off this flower from my Stamparatus, and I'm going to stamp it like so. And then we're going to ink up the opposite side, and I am going to stamp this off. So here's my foam. Whoops, that didn't work. I had my scissors in the way, so it's not completely flat. Jeez Louise, how many pairs of scissors does a person need to have on? What am I on top of? How many pairs of scissors does a person need to have on their desk before there's too many? Let's take that one off. And again, we can see through the flower here, so we can go ahead and stamp that. I'm going to add my stem here, so I need some more soft seafoam ink. Ink that up. Cover the bottom part of the card here. There we go, with our stem. And then we need a leaf. So we'll kind of add one there, add one there. And then we have our bold leaf. Ink it up and stamp it off. And then I can see through for the most part. So I can do that. So now we have a little bit of interest on the inside. And then we can do our sentiment. And I'm actually going to do the sentiment just right next to my flower. I like doing that. I've just recently, within the past few months, come to really enjoy just stamping my sentiments right next to the decoration that I may have on the inside of the card. I just think that's really fun. And then we're going to stamp that same stuff on the outside of the envelope. So we will add our flower there. We'll add the inside. I really like how easy it is to see inside these flowers when you're stamping them. A lot of these two-step stamp sets, you know, you can't always see great in them, but this one you really can. So it's really nice. Okay, and another one. And what did I do with? Here it is. Get those leaves done. There it is. And there we go. So there we have our adorable, delightful details card, kind of a fun fold. And again, if you sign up for my Darling Details class, this is one of the cards you will make. You make 8 cards, 2 each of 4 designs. So you'll make 2 of these. And then 2 of 3 other designs that have yet to be designed, but they will, and they will be just as amazing, I promise.